Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special edition of Diary of a Double. This is the year-long journey that Antonio Argüelles will take to complete 67 kilometers from England to France and then back from France to England. Welcome, Antonio.
Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, wherever you are in the world. It's a pleasure seeing you. I'm very happy, Stephen, today. I survived Rafa's torture today. And you see him smiling there. He tortured me today in advance for Hell Week. I survived, and that's the important thing. That Saturday morning I am here in one piece. I am able to speak. I am happy. I'm drinking my Corona and my beer and having a sandwich because I haven't had breakfast, and so I'm having a breakfast of champions.
Good, good. So before we discuss Hell Week, what did you do today?
Rafa had me doing, we started at 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, started at 5 o'clock in the morning. We did a session of stretching and some strength exercises before we went to the pool. We arrived at the pool at 6 o'clock, and then we did 5 1,000s. The first one, we finally found a way to get warm up, so that will be what we'll be using during the crossing, because that's something that we had problems, and it didn't go well when we were in La Jolla. So we do 10 minutes in going R4, R2, R4, R2. Then we do 10 minutes, 15 strokes, very, very fast, and then recovery. And then we do 10 minutes at pace that I want to hold during my swim. So we did that for 1,000, and then the next one was R3. And you know what's really interesting, Stephen, and for our audience, is that getting R3 right, it's very complicated, because it's this sweet spot between, not overdoing it to going to R4 and being, tired, and not going as slow that it's not really pushing you. So Rafa, we had a bet today. Rafa always tried to challenge me that I was not going to be able to hold. I had to hold between 140 and 141, and I was ready to do 143, 144.
Okay, Antonio, on here, just so people understand, it's R1 to R5. And in your particular case, what is the pace in R1 and what is the pace in R5? So we have a scale.
Rafa, ¿cuáles son mis pasos de R1 a R5? No, pon el micrófono. Rafa, estás en mute. No se oye.
R1 es de recuperación, o sea que no hay tiempo. R2 es de 1:47 en alberca de 50. R3
147 in a 50-meter pool.
Are there heart rate zones that correlate with the R1 through R5?
Yes, in my case, R3, I should be around 130, 135.
So threshold?
Yeah, it's threshold. So R1 is just recovery. R2 is 147. R3?
141.
R3, 141.
R4, 137. And R5, under 130. No puede haber una diferencia de 10 segundos. Lo importante, no puede haber una diferencia de 10 segundos entre el R4 y el R2 en la para recuperar el R4.
We try not to have a difference between R2 and R4 bigger than 10 seconds.
Okay.
And that's complicated. So today was I was able to hold. So the second 1,000 was at R3, and I was able to hold 141. I was thinking like a Berkeley bear, and I wasn't thinking as a cardinal. So I thought I was going to be able to make it at 141, but I did make it 141. Then the next 1,000 was 75 in R4, 25 recovery, then another 1,000 R3, and then two 500s, 400 at R4 with paddles, 100 recovery, and that was the first workout.
Okay.
Then we rested.
Let me ask you there. When you go, when Rafa says R3 or R4 or R5, whatever the designation, what do you do consciously to increase or slow down that pace? Does your arm stroke get faster? Do you start kicking? Do you roll more? What do you practically do you do?
Two things: pulling. R4, it's our Viking. You know, we always have to think about the sea. It's our Viking, you know, stroke. Like you go boom, boom, boom. And R4 is what we're going to be using to when we have to beat the currents, either going into England, going to France, or changing when the current changes. I mean, we need to have that pace that it's, you're not going in a 50 meter. It's just, it's going to be for a while, and you have to put a lot of power in your stroke. R4, like the 75s, is more kicking. And when I do R3, and this is something that Rafa and I have been working this season, is I have to kick more, and I'm kicking more in R3, and R2 is just it's just recovery. I mean, I recover.
When I think of a stronger kick, this is a question to you and to Rafa. When I think of a stronger kick, I think that your body position improves more. So your lower body increases,
More rotation.
and then you're more streamlined in the body. Is that the purpose of kicking more and picking up your speed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Picking up my hips higher and rotating more.
Okay. And so now I understand, I think, why Rafa and you are working so much on your core and on your dry land work, because to increase your kick, to increase the position of, improve the position of your body, your core needs to be a lot stronger than it was before. Is that okay?
Definitely.
Okay.
And he's being on my case. Now I have some very bad exercises that I don't like, Stephen. That's part of Hell Week that we started. It's you know, when you start doing things that you don't like, you know that you need to do them.
Yeah.
So, and that's what Rafa and one thing that happens. You know, Rafa is a very good friend of mine, as many as you are, but he has no concessions to me. I mean, we can be very good friends. We are partners in business, but he's my coach, and I respect him in every manner. When he says something I have to do, the only thing we're struggling is when I use paddles or not. But anything else, I just you know, he doesn't tell me what to drink, so I don't tell him how to coach me.
I explained what Rafa's doing to you, meaning he's asking you to do things you don't like, the same way a parent asks their children to eat vegetables.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Rafa's giving you vegetables in order to make you complete the double.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So we finished the first 5,000, and I went to my car and got my katsu.
Okay.
And I put my katsu on for about half an hour. I rested, and after 2 hours and 15 minutes, we went back to the pool.
Okay.
And we did 6 5,000s, and the 500s were 6 500s were 300 at R3, and then 200, 12.5 all out recovery. So by the fourth 500, my arms were just like, you know, just tired. But what is really interesting, Stephen, is what I was thinking when I went back to the pool is that I was tired. The same way I'm going to be tired going back to England. I'm sure I'm going to be tired, and but that helped a lot in thinking about the stroke and how I was pulling and not increasing my heart rate, and then having to do those changes of pace, that helped a lot. It was a good, good workout in terms of the mental stress that it took to do it. But that's something that we want to start doing on Saturdays, and obviously when we go to Hell Week, is do 2 workouts in a day, and that complicates things.
When I think of swimming freestyle, I think how complicated a motion it is, because we're breathing and we're moving our neck left to right, and we're moving our arms around in a circle, and we're moving our legs up and down. So we've got our head going left and right, we have our arms going around and around, and we have our kick going up and down. 3 completely different motions. And quite often, I know people feel sore. They feel sore in their neck, their shoulders, their hips, whatever. Do you feel any soreness given this repetitive motion of left to right, up and down?
Yeah. When I wake up in the morning, my lower back hurts. That's something that happens, and I need to warm up. One thing that has gone away is the soreness of my shoulders. With the weight training, the strength training, that hasn't been a problem. Okay. But this week, I'm glad you asked me that. We've been working with my mental coach in a new series, and we started that last week. And the way he explained it to me, unfortunately, he doesn't speak English, but you will love to have if you heard him, you will love to have a lot of fun. Rafa knows him very well because they work together. Did you see this movie, a Japanese movie, Chinese movie, they called Dragons and something, that people were flying from it was like in a convent, and they flew and they had the fights. And so he tells me that that's possible, that we just need to concentrate and do some exercises to do that. And it's really interesting because what you do is in your joints, you have circles that go this way, circles that go this way, and circles that go this way. And that relaxes me a lot. From all the exercises that I've been doing, we started that last week, and that has relaxed me a lot. And Rafa was asking me the other day, why are you swimming so relaxed? Because the moment I start getting, what you say, in your neck and your shoulders and your back, my lower back's a little bit more complicated. I just start concentrating in doing those exercises, and it just goes away. And it's really, then the next time I'll show you a picture of, because he shows me the picture, how I have to think about it. And it made a lot of sense, because you know what happens when we're swimming? It's very stressful. At least for me, sometimes it's very stressful, because you're thinking of the pace, and you're thinking about the stop, when you're going to go and do the paces, and if you're going to be able to hold the pace that your coach wants, and you need to relax. And it's going to be a long day, at least 24 hours. So I need to be relaxed. And that's something that didn't happen in Catalina. In Catalina, and Dan Simonelli would remember, when we went back on the second part, I got distracted because of the changes of the kayakers, and I got very stressed. And that's something that you need to be able to do, is forget the stressfulness of the swim and concentrate just on your pace and your strokes.
Yeah. I want to start talking about Hell Week. And for me, it's very interesting how your Hell Week is now. The reason why is, when I think of most sports, especially swimming, but also water polo, we have some water polo players here who quite often we have an off season. So Antonio, you had an off season during COVID when you couldn't get in a pool. Then you had a preseason where you're sort of ramping up. Then right now you're in what I would call mid-season. You're right in the middle of the heavy training. And then we have our taper period, or what I call a championship season. Off-season, preseason, mid-season, and championship season. Now, in marathon swimming, what I often see, unlike, let's say, swimming or water polo or other aquatic sports, where Hell Week is sort of toward the beginning of the season. Ned Dennison is on the line, and he can probably remember, well, you know, the Cal Berkeley guys get together and they're doing 2-3 hour workouts a day. And then they sort of go mini season. But marathon swimming quite often has these hell weeks in the middle of this annual thing, because I think we have to build up to a hell week. And these last, what, Antonio, 6 months or 7 months, you've been building up to this hell week. And now we've got the hell week, and sort of briefly discuss what is this week you're going to undergo and why now?
Well, Rafa can tell us the why now, but it combines two things, Stephen. Number one, that I can travel again, and that's important for me. And having been in San Francisco in many months, as Queen can test. So I will go to San Francisco on Friday, and we're gonna have dinner with. I have a meeting. I have to go to a meeting at Stanford, and we're gonna have dinner, Suzanne, Queen, and I. And then we're gonna go out to aquatic park. I haven't been in aquatic park in over a year, and for me that's very important to go back to aquatic park and swim with my friends. Then on Friday or Saturday, I'm going to see with Jimena. We're going to go and see her godfather, in LA. We're going to have dinner there, and then I'm going to go swimming with you on Sunday, and that's going to prepare me mentally. So I'm going to be very relaxed. I've seen my friends, and I'm ready for what Rafa has in store for me. And we're going to go from Monday till Saturday, 3 hours a day, 2 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. And that's complicated. That's we already have one workout that we want to go in and out of the cove. So to prepare for what's going to be going in and out when we arrive in France, and you know, hopefully the water won't be as cold as it was the last time. But those workouts will start at 6 o'clock in the morning. And you have to think about starting at 6 o'clock in the morning. We're going to swim from 6 to 8. Then we'll rest and I'll have a breakfast. Then at 12, we're going to go back to the ocean, swim for an hour. Then we're going to have lunch, Japanese lunch. And then we're going to have dinner. You guys are going to laugh, but it's very important to prepare for the dinners. So I had to order the wine for the dinners and choose a restaurant. That's very important. I mean, we have to be prepared for that. I'm seeing a friend. See, one thing that that I like to do in my swimming, Stephen, is that I just don't think about swimming. You know, I'm too old to just think about swimming. If I'm gonna go on a trip, either a hell week or a training trip or a swim, you have to enjoy it. I mean, I'm 61. I mean, I don't want to win anything. I just want to have a lot of fun. So part of my hell week is, how are we gonna celebrate? I mean, every day we have to celebrate properly. So that's all set up. I'm gonna see a friend of mine who's one of the best triathletes in the world in his age group. I'm gonna see my partner, and I'm gonna have, and we're gonna make a film. Quinn, we're gonna have a film that we can show about the Cove, and we're gonna have a film for Dan Simonelli about his swim. So we're gonna have in the next sessions, in April, a beautiful. Remember that with the one we did for Las Estacas?
Yes.
We're gonna have the same one for for La Jolla, so people in the world know what La Jolla is.
Okay. I think that is absolutely brilliant how you have a hell week, but it's separated by celebrations. And
yeah, you have to celebrate. You can't just go,
I want to ask Ned Dennison, who runs the famous or infamous, however way you want to look at it, Cork Distance Week. And Ned, if you could briefly describe Cork Distance Week, and do you do the same sort of mini celebrations or dinners, or what do people do to get them through that week, which I believe is 8 days, correct? Or is it
the week is 9 days, because you never know how long your marathon swim is going to take. We're typically going 2 hours morning, 2 hours afternoon. One of the big differences is that 70, 80, 90 people swimming. So, and I'm sure Antonio can relate to this, it's much easier to swim with 3 or 4 people your speed than it is to swim alone. Particularly if those people are 1% faster than you. Magic. Those people are getting together immediately after for hot soup to complain. Groups are going to dinner, groups are going to lunch. Different people are staying in different places with people they've never met. So there's a very festive atmosphere. And there's some people who just get a room alone and sleep the entire time when they're not swimming. There's a couple of things we do differently during that week. There's one session called the Total Body Brain Confusion Swim. It's also called the Torture Swim. Pay more money to be in it. And we just do everything we can to upset people physically and mentally. Everything. So, and I tell the stories, but we had 2 guys, I stopped them during the torture swim and I said, swim out there. And they said, where? I said, swim out to the horizon. So they swam out to the horizon. We went and found him. It took a while, but we found him. And it was a local guy and an English guy. We gave the local guy his feed bottle. We topped it up with hot water and made sure it was okay. And he was working away. And we said to the English guy, 500 years of abuse by the English in Ireland. You get nothing. You get nothing.
Classic.
I think it was probably Adam Walker before one of the swims. He was going up to the North Channel. So we had a guy with big gloves and we wiped him down with nettles, stinging nettles, and told everybody behind him they were next. Now, they weren't actually next, but you could feel people starting to sweat before that. His phobia was having to swim around a boat. So every time we'd stop him, we'd say, swim around the boat twice. He'd swim around the boat once. The boat would go off a mile. He'd have to chase down the boat, swim around it. The boat would go back 2 miles. And he spent the entire time just chasing the boat, drove him crazy. And the reason we do the torture swim is that, and many of you will understand this, you get 300 meters from the coast in France and the current changes. It's not like running up a hill at the end of a marathon run. The escalator is moving backwards. You are going away from the shore, and you don't know whether it's going to be 20 minutes, 2 hours, 5 hours, or never. And we want people mentally to go into what Antonio describes, I think, as the R5 or something, the number 5, which is put your head down, don't think, and sprint. And then the added benefit is they get to say to themselves, well, at least it was Mother Nature and not Ned that's causing me to do this. And then so this I think one of the real magics is you get to swim with a group of people for most of those sessions. And for a lot of our people coming, cold water is something they're not used to. For me, Steve, Hell Week has to be in that mid-season, because if you do it too soon, you're just going to get injured. Yeah. The Berkeley guys, when they came back for their first day of water polo, it was something like 6 hours of 100-meter swims on 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes or something like that. And that was Pete Catino's way of saying hello and getting a judge of who had been working out and who hadn't. You could quit whenever you wanted. It was no problem at all. But you went from the first team to the team the next day. And you had to fight your way back. But it wasn't a week. It was one session to humble you.
Got it. So Antonio, instead of talking about Hell Week and what you're going to do in the water, can you tell us what you're going to do on land? What are the wines? What are the minerals?
We have this restaurant that I told you the other day that saved me with the soup. So there's a Japanese restaurant that's on Prospect Street, So we go there every day for lunch. And it was very surprising, Stephen. They're all Japanese, but they speak Spanish very well. So yeah, it was surprising. So they said, Señor Antonio, bienvenido. So, you know, we are friends of them. So we arrive there and they know what Rafa likes and what I like. I like a bowl of rice with uni, salmon, octopus. And then they serve us like little things as gifts from the chef. We have sake and a sake beer. So that's the lunch.
Yeah.
And then we go to dinner at 6:30 and we have a selection. We drink between 1 and 2 bottles of wine at dinner, depending on, you know, how many, or 3, depending on how many on the table. And they are most of them are California Cabernet Sauvignons. And since this time I'm going to be doing the same thing, I can take a single malt. And I know, Brian, you were asking me which, you asked Steven which single malts I like. You know, I like the, you know, from the, they're not the smoky ones. So
the Islay ones are the smoky ones.
So if you have recommendations, I would love to hear them. And then really bad, I go back to the hotel, and there's at the beach, because it's the La Jolla Beach and tennis club, and I smoke a cigar. And Rafa the other day, he was very surprised because he saw a bottle, a full bottle in the morning. He saw a full bottle of single malt. He didn't realize I had 2 bottles. One that I had been drinking during the week, and the one that was new. So he comes in the afternoon and he sees the half-empty bottle. He said, "Did you drink all this morning?" I said, No. This is what I drink at night with my cigar. So that's what the big problem that I have is what I'm going to have for breakfast. That's something that we have to talk about, because I can't eat too much because I'm going to swim. So that's something that we haven't figured out. We have lunch, we have dinner, we have after lunch, after dinner. We don't know what exactly we're gonna do with it. Dan, can you speak? I guess Dan is.
I can speak.
So, have you ever? Do you have any complaints about our dinners?
Absolutely not. The best dinners. There's the best training dinners ever.
So that's
wonderful.
Quinn, I think you need to put a R rating on this podcast. We don't want to impress the youth of aquatics that you know, one of our heroes has single malt cigars, 3 bottles of wine, sake, and beer.
It's only for the 60 and over. and then you can do it. Then you got, it's carte blanche.
I'll put a parental warning. Don't worry.
Yeah. Suzanne, you've done some hell weeks in your life. I know that. How have they differed, or how are they similar to what Antonio just described?
Actually, both, with the working up to it is really important, and then having it in the middle, and then holding it for a couple, holding the yardage still a little bit less and a little bit less in intensity. But it depends. Like for marathon swimming was a lot. For marathon solo swimming is different than when I was racing for 25Ks, like for the national teams and international, because that was, you know, we were up to about 20,000 meters a day. I'm sure, and you've done, and Steve, and you've been there, done that. And hell weeks would be like 2 or 3 hours in the morning, and then followed by another 2 hours, but that's pool. But marathon swimming is different. And what Antonio and Rafa and Ned have all mentioned is so spot on, because if you do your big yardage and time in the water too soon, you are more prone to injury. But I like to do a about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks out, have a pretty big, if you want to call it hell week, and then hold it a little bit less yardage, but hold it and then kind of work your way down. One of the things though, I wanted to ask Antonio, Rafa, where are you guys doing when you're doing your dry land? Do you do it before workout usually? Do you do it afterwards? How is that going to, is it different during Hell Week than it is through the normal training sessions? Where do you fit your dry land in?
Usually we do it at home at 5 o'clock in the morning. 2 times a week we do weights, and 2 times a week we do strength training. And it's before the swims, always before the swims.
Oh, so it is before the swims.
Yeah, always before the swims. And I was, I don't know, before I met Rafa, I was doing him after the swims. And maybe he can explain why we changed it, but I feel much better doing it before the swims than after the swims. And when we're in Hell Week, we just do what we do when we are closer to our swims, our channel swims. We have a routine that we do for about between 30 and 40 minutes, which is a lot of core training and just getting warm up and doing some how you call it, the things that you go like this, the bands, the rubber bands, and that's what we do. But one thing that I do also, Zen, before I go into even that I'll be doing the Hell Week when I go and do these long swims is I do a lot of 𝐞𝐭𝐞 before.
Oh.
Every day I start with 𝐞𝐿, then we do stretching, then we do strength, and then I go into the water. So it takes about an hour and 15 minutes
Before
going into the water. Let me ask Rafa. Rafa, ¿por qué hacemos? Me está preguntando Susan que por qué hacemos de cuándo hacemos la parte de la fuerza, si antes o después, y le decía que lo hacemos antes. ¿Por qué lo hacemos antes?
Porque la fuerza tiene un impacto sobre el sistema neurológico mucho mayor que el impacto que la resistencia o lo fisiológico que va en el nado. Entonces, todo lo que tiene que ver con el impacto neurológico y sobre todo la coordinación y la fuerza deben de ir antes que el impacto fisiológico para que la carga tenga efecto positivo.
So the neurological impact that you have doing the weights on your body and the coordination, it's harder, and so that's why you do it before you do the swimming.
Okay, and then I have another question. What toys do you use? Do you use paddles, pull buoy? Do you ever use a snorkel, fulcrum paddles?
Hi, Suzanne, let me tell you, that's a tough one with Rafa. When we first met, he took my fins away, he took my pull buoy away, and he took my paddles away, okay? So I didn't have any toys. So the good thing is I met that then when Quinn became, he had his previous job at Fins, I said, Rafa, look what I got from Quinn. I have fins, I have pull buoy, and I have paddles. And Quinn is sponsoring me, so I have to use them. So no, we use very few toys. Okay. The toys we use, I would say that the most that we use is the fins because of we're trying to do more kicking, but the paddles and the pull buoy are on the dark side of the moon. And Rafa, his comments every time is, do you want me to pass you paddles and pull buoy when you're arriving in France and the current is changing? Are you going to be using them? So if you're going to be using them, so take them right now. That's your choice. Okay. So remember the Tom Hanks movie that he had the ball with the eyes, the smile. So Rafa puts the pull buoys and the paddles. He says, "Well, they're there. It's your choice. But just remember, when you're getting to France and you can't break the current, are you going to use them?" So he's tough on me. He's tough. Suzanne, before Stephen asks you a question, Quinn tells me, and you have to tell me Friday all the story about it, that you beat him swimming. So if you beat Quinn swimming, you are gonna run over me. So are you gonna be gentle with me when we go to aquatic park, or you're gonna be just going there? You know, I'm a slow swimmer. I'm an old man, Suzanne. You have to think about that.
Antonio, be very afraid. She is one tough cookie. She beat me up and down the pool growing up when she was 20 years older than me, and it was embarrassing.
Well, I just want to know how embarrassing I will be, because after we swim, we'll have had this show, and you will, Suzanne, you have to be very nice to me and say that as Ned said, you're just going to be in front of me and taking me very nicely and pacing me, and it's going to be a friendly swim, because, you know, forget health swims. Quinn has been telling me everything about you. I can't sleep about it. I mean, I'm just going to be run over at aquatic park. I mean, I have a reputation to keep. I mean,
Well, what does Rafa think I should do?
¿Qué crees que tenga que hacer, Rafa? ¿Que me gane?
Well, I'll play nice. I'll play nice, Antonio.
Okay, that's good.
I asked a question to a bunch of international swimmers at a FINA World Championship. And I asked them the question, what was your toughest set that you ever did? What was your toughest set? And I knew, and all the athletes were there. They were from Australia, the US, Great Britain, Mexico, et cetera. And they were all between 18 and I'll say 26. And I asked the question knowing that they would all lie. Now, they did not lie like you think they would lie. When a bunch of fishermen get together and they say, how big was the fish you caught? The fish was always this big. But when you get a bunch of competitive swimmers together, they never want to admit how much they really are working out hard. So they would say, oh, you know, I did 5100s on 110. In fact, they had done 5100s on 105. They just didn't want their competitors to know how fast they were going and how far they were going in practice. So sometimes in Hell Week, it depends who your audience is. Sometimes you will be very truthful, like here, and everything that Ned, and I'm sure Brian has had some interesting weeks of training, and others, and Deidre, et cetera. But it was funny when I got these competitive swimmers together, all grouped together, and I know that they were not telling the truth, how truly fast they are. Then later, I got them one by one, and I said, like, how fast do you do 10 100s kicking, for example? And they would tell me one-on-one how fast they would go. I go, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I said, but yesterday we were talking with the group and you said you only went 10 whatever. And they said, oh yeah, I would never admit that I was actually going this fast. So, you know, sometimes when we talk about Hell Week, some people say my fish is this big, and sometimes they say my fish is this big. So I want to thank you all very much.
Before you go, Steven, they raised drinking some wine. What are you drinking?
Was that a question to me? Sorry, I got.
It's actually a very nice one.
It's from Corsica. Maybe you can have some when you get to France.
Okay.
It helps you on the way back.
So you'll be waiting for me on when I get to France with a glass.
It would be very pleasant if we could.
Perfect.
If you land at the restaurant, you might get champagne.
Okay. Well,
thank you very much, everybody, for participating. We appreciate your participation. And Antonio, good luck next week.
Yeah. Steven, I didn't mention to you, you're going to be nice to me on Sunday?
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
Ned, did you have something before we sign off? Ned, did you raise your hand? No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Ciao, team. See you next week.
Bye.